Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 2. My match reaction, and I'm just going to start off, absolutely loved it. Newcastle are on fire. I mean, I think I'm just really happy on the state of Newcastle. Even if Newcastle were in mid-table, nowhere near the relegation zone, I think I would be happy. Because it's so much different to the Mike Ashley era, and I'm just so happy. We win it again, and the first 30 minutes, there's only two words in my opinion to describe Manchester United, and that is Man United were championship quality. Newcastle just walked through them. The first goal, fantastic. Bruno Guimaraes got the assist of the assist. Great ball over the top, over to Lewis Hall, crossed it into the box. Isak, simple header. None of the Man United players went up to actually compete with Alexander Isak. None of them even jumped. That's crazy. And then the second goal was controversial, but I'm not complaining. It did hit his shoulder, I'm pretty sure. I don't know the rules on what was a handball. Evidently didn't hit his hand, but does a shoulder count as a handball? You know, it is what it is. I'm happy it was 2-0. Also, want to quickly say, I did actually predict this game 2-0 to Newcastle. So I also got that prediction right in my prediction video. So I'm absolutely buzzing yet again. And I'm pretty sure Newcastle never win at Old Trafford in the Premier League. I know Newcastle did back in the Carabao Cup game when we won at 3-0. But here, 2-0. Fantastic. But you have to admit, Man United did get back into the game. Ever since Mainu went on, the Xerxes, it did pretty much change the game for Man United. I still don't think Man United play well throughout the entire 90 minutes, but it definitely improved. And in the second half, yet again, Mainu was doing really well. Man United were actually getting chances. And there was some very scary chances in the first half. I mean, the mistake by Fabian Schär was very scary. Newcastle started making a few mistakes here and there. Man United, pretty much, in terms of creating shots, they were the better side at that for 60 minutes of the game after the first 30 minutes. But to be honest, they still didn't do fantastic to break the Newcastle defence. They only had one shot on target. They obviously hit the post through Harry Maguire at one point, but Newcastle's defence was rock solid. And the first 30 minutes, Man United were awful. The next 60 minutes, it wasn't the fact that Newcastle were awful. Man United just stepped it up again. Newcastle just decided to sit back for the rest of it. And a team like Newcastle, this season, we can sit back if we want to against a Man United side that isn't good at taking their chances. Because, in my opinion, this season, Newcastle have been very good defending. So we can afford to do that. The Fabian Schär, Dan Burn centre-back partnership was very good. Lewis Hall, now he's a different story to talk about. Superb. We'll get on to player ratings just in a mo. But overall, Newcastle were the better side. We deserved it. And it was all down to the first half an hour, really. Newcastle had nothing to do with it. It should have been like 5-6-0 to Newcastle in the first half an hour. Really happy. I'm just over the moon about it. I know Man United are pretty much in a relegation battle, you could say. That's a bit harsh. They're not. But still, they are like in 14th. But still, it was a very good win. I'm very happy. Although Man United did start to change it up and there were some good substitutions by Ruben Amorim, still, the side just lacks in quality for Man United. But on to player ratings. I'm going to start off with Newcastle United and Martin Dubravka in goal. I mean, to be honest, he didn't actually have any saves to make. That's telling you a lot about Man United's shooting and how terrible it is. Even if they have the majority of chances throughout the 60 minutes, you know, the last 60 minutes, they didn't really do much with them because Newcastle's defending was so good and Martin Dubravka didn't really have to do much. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 because usually, you know, the modern goalkeeper this season, normally the goalkeeper would just pass it, have a short pass to one of the defenders. And most of the time, at least when he was under pressure, easily pass it, he just booted it up the pitch. And I thought at times his passing, booting up the pitch was quite accurate. So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Plus he got a clean sheet. Didn't have to do much. Now over to Kieran Trippier in right back. I thought he made no mistakes. I think his corners could have probably been a bit better. But everything else, fantastic for the 58 minutes he played. He defended really well. And he did really well to read the play. Some great blocks. And I hope he is not injured for a long period of time because I thought he had a very good game and his passing now and again was pretty good. So I'm going to give him a solid 8 out of 10 in right back. He was a very good player. Now we move on to the right centre-back. It is Fabian Schär. Him and Burn had a great partnership. And obviously he did get a clean sheet. And he did make some good interceptions and he was structured quite well. But he did make a mistake with that pass. Playing out from the back, he did kind of gift Man United their biggest chance of the game almost. And in terms of impactful defending scenarios, I would say he was probably the worst defender for Newcastle. He still had a decent game because he partnered up really well with Burn. And he did make some good long balls over the top. But he did make that big mistake. And I thought he was less impactful than the other defenders. I'm going to give him 6.5. I'm tempted for a 7, but I think 6.5 is kind of that decent barrier. But yeah, another decent game for Fabian Schär. Dan Burn, the amount of blocks, and not just the amount of blocks when he was in the penalty box. Sometimes he kind of went a bit aggressive, went forward and pressed the Man United player, whoever it was. And I just thought it was a really solid, classic Dan Burn performance. A classic Dan Burn performance. And I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Honestly, a solid 8 out of 10. The defence, really happy with. And now, my man of the match is left back Lewis Howe. Now, I can't quite remember what the commentators said. They probably said Alexander Isak because he had a good game. But Lewis Howe, he was sensational. I love Lewis Howe so much. I mean, I can't say one mistake that he did. If he wasn't defending, Dan Burn covered him. So another positive of Dan Burn. Lewis Howe covered Dan Burn when he needed to. And overall, he got an assist. Fantastic. He's always in those attacking positions and he made some crucial blocks. I remember when Man United, Harry Maguire headed it onto the post and then another chance, I don't know who took the shot, straight after a shot came in and Lewis Howe was there to block it. I remember there was a set piece over the top. It was Højlund versus Lewis Howe. He outstrengthed Højlund and he got the ball. And countless times he went in the attack, passed it up the wing to maybe Isak or someone. And he linked up really well with all the players. And he constantly made attacking runs up the left flank, made simple blocks, simple interceptions when he needed to. And overall, he's just superb. Maybe I'm the only one saying he's man of the match. But he definitely had a good game if he's not getting man of the match. Now, in right winger position, we have Jacob Murphy. To be honest, I don't really know as Scooby-Doo what he actually did. I mean, he didn't have a bad game. You know, he had a couple of good attacks in the first 30 minutes when Newcastle kind of had all their shots and all their attacking moments. But Dalot kind of silenced him. You know, he defended when he needed to defend. Can't really remember what exactly he did impactful to the game. I'm going to give him a 5.5. Now, you might find that as harsh, but for me, how I rate these players is 5 is like mediocre. 5 is okay. So I'm making him slightly above just okay. Probably because we won it and he didn't make a mistake. But I move on to Bruno Guimaraes. Now, he was a competitor for man of the match, especially in that first 30 minutes. The three midfield, Joelinton, Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes linked up fantastic. Tiki-taka passes, great dribbles, great runs, winning back the ball as well. And obviously, he got the assist of the assist. That ball over the top to find Lewis Howe. That was a key moment in the game. And that's given him a big bum bolster in his rating. And overall, not just in the first 30 minutes, his defensive performance when Newcastle really had to defend when Man United kind of had the momentum with them in the second half and we just kind of stepped back a bit. He defended really well, tackle after tackle. Although there was a few sloppy passes now and again, I would say, in the second half for Newcastle. But overall, Bruno Guimaraes, he was brilliant. He defended when we needed to defend in the second half. He attacked when we needed to attack. He was the heart of a lot of the attacks in that first 30 minutes. I'm giving him a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think he's competing for man of the match, and another day I could say he was, but Lewis Hall was just too good. Now over to Joelinton. Joelinton, now he obviously did score, and it was obviously the controversial goal. I've mentioned on how well he played with Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali. That first 30 minutes, sensational. His passing was so clinical. His dribbling was brilliant. And he was going to be my man of the match. But as the game went on, he was getting a bit more sloppier and sluggish. But even through those times, he still had some good moments in the second half where his dribbling wasn't fantastic. And Joelinton is one of my favourite players at Newcastle. In fact, I think he is Newcastle's best player, and I have done for the last 2 or 3 years. And it's the way he dribbles. It's very hard to tackle him when he's dribbling, because he could dribble right into an opposition defender and still get away with the ball because of his physicality and strength. And he runs brilliantly. And he doesn't lose the ball. His passing was very clinical. Newcastle slowly trailed down overall in terms of attacking in the second half. But he still had a very good game, especially in the first 30 minutes. And I'm going to give him a solid 7.5 out of 10. Sandro Tonali, I'm going to give him a 6.5 out of 10. Again, he really did link up well in that midfield three between Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton in the first half an hour. But other than that, I can't really think of what else he did good. There was a few moments where he made a few good passes in the second half. Long ball over the top to maybe to Murphy or someone. I can't really think of anything else. 6.5 out of 10, mainly down to the first half an hour. But last game against Aston Villa, he was my man of the match. Left wing Anthony Gordon. It wasn't just his attacking play. It wasn't just him being able to skill pass and run past Ramazani like he did. He also tracked back a lot. And I like that from Anthony Gordon. Tracking back, helping out Lewis Hall when he needed to, and 7.5 out of 10. I think obviously he could have done maybe a bit more in the attack, like a lot of Newcastle players could have after the first 30 minutes. But he did really well to defend, and another great performance. Great skill to get past Ramazani. I remember that little skill and great pace, and he showed a lot of desire. All the transfer rumours that he's getting means absolutely diddly squat, because he's staying here and he wants to, and he's playing fantastic. I mean, look at it. We're only 3 points away from Chelsea. But now down to Alexander Isak, 8.5 out of 10. I am tempted to give him a 9, but honestly, superb. It wasn't just the first 30 minutes. He carried on going. His dribbling has to be one of the best dribbling in the Premier League. He isn't your classic number 9. He runs around everywhere. He runs around into midfield to try and collect the ball and then dribble past players. He runs in behind the defence. He's fast. He's great at dribbling. Ball control superb. And I really enjoyed the first 30 minutes for Newcastle. I enjoyed the defensive performance. I enjoyed us winning. And I'm enjoying this era of Newcastle. Obviously, Willock did come on. Harvey Barnes did come on. But I can't really rate them, because I can't really remember what they did, because they were only on for a tiny bit. I would have liked to seen Osula come on personally, because when I've seen him come on, he looks like he's got 99 pace if he was on FC25. And he looks really eager. Livramento was another person that came on, and he tried to make some attacking runs. Defensively, did good enough, I suppose. 6 out of 10, why not? But moving on to Man United player ratings, Andre Onana. And to be honest, the 2 goals that went in, maybe he could have done better. But then it was quite close to him, and to react like that, you're going to have to be really, really good in goal. But honestly, I don't think he did anything amazing. And I don't think he made any terrible, terrible mistakes. I'm just going to go down the middle and just go for a 5 out of 10 for Andre Onana. Right back Mazraoui, I felt like he did try and get forward a lot of times, but he kind of got slaughtered by Anthony Gordon down that flank. And I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10 for me. He still made some good challenges now and again, some good blocks. And again, 5 out of 10, just okay. Now on to De Ligt. Again, I don't think he did anything terrible. I think he looked quite average at the back. It wasn't really his fault for the goals, it was more Martinez. Yeah, 5 out of 10 for De Ligt. But moving on to Martinez, I think he could have done better, you know, especially through that first half an hour. The amount of times I reference back to the first half an hour is crazy. But Martinez should have done better. He should have jumped up when he was with Isak. Definitely should have put up more of a challenge. But then as the game went on, I feel like his defensive performance eventually going through definitely improved. In fact, he made some good forward passes and he started to get a bit forward in the second half. So I originally was going to give him like a 3.5, but I might give him a 4.5. It's probably because he couldn't defend for that important goal. And it was such a crucial moment. He should have done better. And I felt like when Isak went on one-on-one with the keeper and he kind of chipped it straight into Onana's hands, I felt like Martinez was a bit out of position as well there. So that definitely downs him to a 4.5. And now we get on to Harry Maguire. You know what? I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I didn't think he was that bad. Defensively, I don't think he did that bad. He was positioned correctly. Obviously, nearly scored from the diving. Was it a diving header? Can't quite remember. I remember it was a header onto the post. It wasn't too bad of a performance, I guess you could say. So I'm probably going to give him a 6 out of 10. Thiago Darlow, I thought wasn't too bad. I thought like the first couple of runs from Jacob Murphy down the right flank, he did pretty well to defend against. And I thought he was quite sharp, he was quite ready, and he tried to push forward a lot, especially in that last 60 minutes in the second half. I don't think he did that bad. I'm going to give him maybe a 6 out of 10 like Harry Maguire. I don't think he did that bad, you know. Move on to Casemiro, 3.5. Honestly, a dreadful performance. I remember once he just shot from outside the box and it was pretty much pointless because it went nowhere. And some of his passing just, it was good vision, but the actual pass was not clinical whatsoever. And he was quite lazy in the midfield. Newcastle just felt like they could walk through Man United because Casemiro was lazy. And we've seen a lot of very similar performances like this, and it was poor. So 3.5 for his rating there. Now, Joshua Zirkzee. I mean, he came off at the 30th minute for Kaibi Mainu. Yeah, what more to say? 2.5 out of 10. I was going to give him a 3, but I'm going to give him a 2.5. It's very rare we see a substitution in the first half, and he definitely did not have a good game whatsoever. And now let's talk about Kaibi Mainu, because he played more than Zirkzee, and he's probably my man of the match for Man United. Ever since he came on, Man United changed. He was the heart of the Man United attacks. He was winning the balls. He was passionate. He was constantly getting stuck in. I mean, at one point, I remember he did some dribble through Newcastle players, then passed it. And he just looked so good. I'm giving him a 7.5 out of 10. By far the best player. And now I'm getting on to Amad Diallo, which, you know what? Normally you would think he's definitely going to be man of the match. I thought Lewis Hall completely silenced them at times. I liked his passion now and again for Man United for getting up the field. But to be honest, I don't think he did much. When he did, Lewis Hall just silenced them. Or Dan Burn silenced them. I'm going to give him a 5.5 out of 10. The reason why I'm giving him an extra 0.5 is because I quite liked his passion still. Now we move on to Højlund. Sometimes I forget he's even in the game because it's the service towards Højlund. One big chance, and he didn't take it. And again, I thought the Newcastle defence did really well to silence him. Again, it's that service that needs to be better. He didn't exactly look terrible. I'm going to give him maybe like a 5 out of 10. Sorry, Højlund. But again, you're kind of not in the game. It feels like you're silenced in the game. It happens a lot with you. Oh, I missed the midfielder here. Christian Eriksen. You know what, in the first 30 minutes, I think pretty much all the Man United players were making sloppy passes after sloppy passes. But he started to get into the game, and he was making a few link-up play. He definitely improved throughout the game, but again, it wasn't a fantastic game from him. Neither was it a good game for Man United. I'll give him a 5.5. I mean, the first half an hour, I thought he was dreadful. Lenny Yoro, I'm just going to give him a 5 out of 10. I don't know what he actually did when he came on the pitch. And then Anthony, yeah, I'm going to give him an NA because he came on so late, I can't really rate him. And then Garnacho came on. He made a few good attacks here and there, but again, I think Newcastle defended really well, and it was hard for him to get into the game. I do rate Garnacho, and I think he'll be really good, and Man United should keep a hold of him. But Garnacho, I'm going to give him 5 out of 10. No Marcus Rashford again for Man United. Maybe you should have brought him on because you might as well, because you're 2-0 down, and no one's really getting a shot on target, so you might as well bring on Marcus Rashford. I think that's everyone. In terms of manager, Ruben Amorim, you know what? Starting with Zirkzee and Casemiro, I don't know whether I like that because I have not been impressed with Zirkzee this season. Don't think he should have probably started him. I don't think he should have started Casemiro. But he learnt from his lesson. He brought off Zirkzee, brought on Mainu, and Man United, ever since Mainu came on, did change up the game. So I was tempted to give Ruben Amorim a 4, but because he brought on Mainu, because Man United slowly came back into the game, I will give him a 5 out of 10. Eddie Howe, I'm probably going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. I think the starting 11, pretty much perfect. I think I'm the only one that actually likes Miguel Almiron. In terms of when I say like, I mean in terms of I rate Almiron. I feel like if he played 5 to 10 games in a row, he'll start performing. It's a very unpopular opinion, but I genuinely really like Almiron. He's my favourite player, and I think he should play more. But more in particular, I feel like Eddie Howe should have brought on Osula on the pitch, or at least Miley. He could have utilised at least one more substitution. I think he needs to play Osula more. He did well to bring off Trippier just in case if that hamstring injury graduated into anything bigger. So overall, 7.5 out of 10 for Eddie Howe. And overall, Newcastle were the better side. Defensively fantastic. First half an hour, complete obliteration and fantastic football link-up play by Newcastle. But that's my match reaction over. Have a nice new year. And I'm definitely going to have a nice new year. Toodle pip! Check out this video as well.